Hi, what's happening everybody? Hello, welcome. And I'm going to do a video for you today that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and it is cold and windy outside. So I thought I would tell everyone today how I think you can sell 1,000,000 e-bikes. Now this video is just for fun, but I thought maybe it would give some direction to the e-bike companies out there. And also too, I want all the viewers and subscribers, I want you guys to comment below and tell me if I'm missing the mark or if I'm on the money with this. But I'm going to do my best today to tell you how you need to configure an e-bike if you want to sell 1,000,000 of them. So we're going to go through all the different components it's got to have if you want to sell a ton of e-bikes. I'm in a unique position where I get to test and ride a lot of different e-bikes. I think I've been on over 40 now at this point. And I've said before in a lot of videos that they all do their own thing. They all mix and match components. They're all largely the same components. They just put them together in a different combination for their bike. And I'm going to basically tell you all the components the bike needs to have if you want to sell a ton of them, right? So we're going to go through that today, and I'll do my best to describe it in detail, what it's got to have on it if you want to sell 1,000,000, and you guys let me know if I'm right or not. So let's start off with the first thing this bike's got to have: 4-inch fat tires. At least from what I've seen anyway, and the people that watch my channel, the bikes that I do that are commuter style bikes or beach cruiser bikes or small mini folding bikes, those videos don't seem to do as well as the fat tire bike videos. People like that fat tire look. It's eye-catching. They also tell me they feel more stable on it. Whether that's true or it's just a mind thing, I don't know. But they like the fat tire. So put 4-inch fat tires on the bike. Doesn't matter if they're 20-inch, 24, 26. Doesn't matter. Just make sure they're 4 inches wide. All right, the next thing it's got to have, and this is a big one, it's got to have a big battery pack on it. Don't give me 14, 16, 18 amp hour, 20 amp hour minimum. Minimum. That is overwhelmingly one of the questions and comments I get on my channel is about range. How far can the bike go? How do I extend the range? Can I get a bigger battery pack for it? People are looking for a large battery pack. 20 amp hour minimum. Put that on your bike. If you want to sell 1,000,000, you want to sell 1,000,000 of them. Big battery pack. 20 amp hour minimum. I can't stress it enough. It's got to have a big battery pack on it. All right, next thing it's got to have: hydraulic brakes. Put hydraulic brakes on the bike. They always work better than the mechanical disc brakes, regardless of what brand they are. I don't care what brand it is. Put the cheapest brand on. The cheapest ones work better than the mechanical ones every day of the week. So hydraulic brakes on the bike, must have that on there. Don't care the brand, put hydraulic brakes on it though. All right, the next thing it's got to have, and this is a big one: power. It's got to have good power. The majority of the people that I interact with online and on my channel, they're looking for an e-bike for fun. They're not buying it to commute to work. Don't kid yourself. People that are buying e-bikes right now aren't buying them as transportation tools. They're buying them for fun and recreation. And they want a good amount of power in them. They want them to help them up the hills. That's why they buy an e-bike, because they don't want to pedal hard and they don't want to put in that effort. They want to sail up the hills easily. And for a bike to do that, I've been on, like I said, 40 plus e-bikes at this point. And the bikes that I get on that sail up the hills effortlessly, and they're so much fun, are the bikes that peak at like 1,100 watts. That's kind of the magic threshold number. If it's got 1,100 or more peak output, then it's a really strong bike, and it just conquers the hills so easily and it accelerates quickly. Let's just take the whole legal thing and set that aside for a second. I know most places are 750 watts, 20 miles an hour. Let's just put that to the side for a second, because it'll lead into the next thing I'm going to say. But the bike needs to have about 1,100, 1,200 watts. Those are the really powerful bikes. The Magicycle, the Aventon Adventure, the Snap Cycle, they all peak nice and high like that, and they're so effortless up the hills. It's a big selling feature of the bike. So make the bike peak at 1,100. Ship it however you got to ship it legally to get it 750 watts, 20 mile an hour, whatever. But just allow the people to de-restrict the bike in the settings. That would be my suggestion. If you want to sell 1,000,000, I'm telling you here how to configure the bike to sell a ton of them. So 1,100 peak watt output. Now that leads me into the next thing that you got to have on the bike, which is a color display. Forget the black and white displays. Everybody's got a color, computer, cell phone in their pocket. If you're going to spend $2,000 on an e-bike, it should have a nice color display on it, right? So color display, absolute must have, and allow that display to help the user configure the bike and de-restrict it, right? So ship it how you got to ship it legally, whatever, 750 watts, but allow that display to go in there, change the top speed settings, change the power output on the bike so you can bump it up and make it nice and powerful. You know, they can adjust the settings at their own risk. And also too, allow them to adjust the pedal assist settings. That's a big thing that people look for, is when you can go in the display and adjust the pedal assist from, 3 levels, 5 levels, 7, 9 different levels, and then also adjust the power output in each setting. So if you want pedal assist 1 to give you 20% or 30 or 40, you can adjust that level. There's a bunch of bikes out there that do that, and it is so nice when you can adjust the power delivery and totally customize the bike for your riding style, whether it's a fast start or a gradual start. Those are the kind of display settings that we need to have access to. So do that and it'll be a huge, huge bonus. All right, we're gonna keep going. Next thing, there's a couple more things that's gotta have. So the next thing is a full suspension. Put a front and rear suspension on the bike. We don't care how cheap it is, okay? You just need to have the basic suspension component parts. We can change the shocks out or change the forks out, whatever, but put a full suspension on the bike, allow us to customize it to our liking, aftermarket if we want, but it needs to have the basic components. Don't care how cheap it is, just needs to have a full suspension. I've been on a lot of different bikes, and you notice the ones that have the rear suspension. It is very noticeable, it's very comfortable, and after having bikes with it, I really don't want to go back to the hardtail, to the non-rear suspension. I really like that. I think if you want to sell 1 million and you put that on there, I'm telling you the components to put on there to sell a ton of them, right? Put a rear suspension on the bike. All right, now there's a couple other little things that I'll mention here before we get to the big one at the end. But the little things are, give it a more upright seating position, put a taller handlebar on it so you're not hunched over. I don't really like that riding style, and most people that are of an advanced age don't like that riding style either. We want to be more upright, so give it more upright seating position and put a big, wide, plush, comfy seat on it. Every time I get a bike with a regular bike seat on it, just chuck that thing immediately and put on a big plush seat. So that's going to help you out. Put a tall seating position on it, plush seat, and then here's the big one. The last thing, if you want to sell a ton of them, is you got to put all those components I just described on a bike, and it's got to be $2,000 or less. You do that, you're going to sell a ton of these things. All right, so how'd I do? Let me know in the comments. Did I just describe the Goldilocks bike that most people are looking for? All those components at $2,000 or less? Tell me in the comments if I hit it or if I was off on something. I'd be really curious to see the comments on this video. Now, next question is, okay, so what's the closest that I've seen to this? The closest ones I can kind of think of would be the B Explorer bike from Be Cool. It's got a lot of those things, except it's missing, I think, 2 things. It doesn't have a color display on it, and it also doesn't have that peak power. I mean, to get that peak power of 1100-ish, 1200 watts, you're probably gonna need like a 25 amp controller at a minimum. So keep that in mind, 25 amp hour controller or up, you're probably gonna get that good power. So it's missing a couple things there. The Cyrusher Komoda bike was pretty close. It's got a lot of those components I described, but it was missing things like it doesn't have the battery pack size. It's like a 14 amp hour battery pack, not a 20, and it's also more expensive. It's like $2,300, so it doesn't hit the price point. That's a big thing too. You got to get it under $2,000 or less. I think you're going to sell a ton of them if you can do that. If you can deliver that bike for that price, yeah, I think you're in business, man. You're going to sell a ton of bikes. All right, now my question to all of you is there a bike out there with all of these components I just described for $2,000 or less? If there is, put in the comments. I definitely want to know about this bike. And don't tell me the ones that have like, 9 out of 10 or the all but one. Tell me the bikes that have all of them. I don't think there is one. If there is, I want to know about it. Put in the comments. If you're an e-bike company and you make this bike with all these things I just described at $2,000 or less, please email me. I want to talk to you. So put it in the comments if you know a bike that has everything I just described. I would definitely consider buying that and testing it just to show everyone that bike. So put them in the comments. I'm excited to read those. And if there's any other major must-have components I just flat out missed, put those in the comments as well. I really hope we can find this bike if you are curious, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you're notified when I put out videos, because if I find a bike like this, I am absolutely going to get it, and we're going to do a video on it so I can let all of you know about it. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Click that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all again soon. Thanks.